Hello everyone, this is Thomas, and in this special video I want to talk about some very personal experiences about failure and success, also about tragedy and joy, but also about what's going on in the automotive industry and also what are your wishes for the next upcoming year of Autogefühl. And of course I also want to make a shout out to thank you all. And let's start with the latter one, because to me this is also super important. I know I can also do this job because of you, and I'm really grateful for it, especially for all those that have been supporting us for such a long time and always sharing our videos with your friends, for example, and recommending us, because we are not a big corporation. We don't have venture capital, big money to push our videos or something like that. We are not selling any products or something. This is like the reporting and then like the advertisement that YouTube is pushing on it. That's what we live from actually. And we always try to give you the most authentic and honest experience. And I know that especially our long-term subscribers, they appreciate exactly that. And for us, it's always viewer first. I always think about what is the best service we can offer to you as a viewer. And I think, and I really hope that you realize that this is the core of our program. Of course, also seasonal greetings. And if you're celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas to all of you. It's been a very moving year, definitely. A lot of things have been happening in the automotive sphere. Soon going to talk about that. I first want to give some personal insight, because I think, at this time of the year, it's maybe a good time to talk about these things. Also to encourage you, because I'm always getting like a lot of private messages from you, and I really try to answer as many comments as possible. Also, once again, trying to give you the best service. Also, when you have questions concerning like which car to buy and so on, in the comments, but also in different private messages across all our social media types. So I really spend a lot of time actually each day with answering all of that, just to give you the best experience besides our videos. And I want to share some personal thoughts, because in my lifetime and in my career I have made different experiences, bad and good ones definitely, and just want to give you, let's say, some hints and tips maybe if you face similar situations. And also want to just say that no one should ever tell you what you can't do, and you should not listen to these people, because I have experienced that myself, even starting in elementary school, and when I was supposed to move on then to like one of the high schools in Germany. And even the elementary school teacher said actually that I would not be suitable for the best high school. Luckily, my parents believed in me, and I ended up scoring the high school with one of the best grades. So that was one of the proofs that even like at a very young age, there might be people who tell you what you cannot do. But I would advise that you surround yourself with people who tell you what you can do and who help you in achieving your dreams and achieving your goals, instead of trying to block them. And I mean, this has happened to me actually throughout my career, that there were always some disbelievers, if you call them that way. And even here with Autogefühl, when I was starting in 2013, 2014 to make long videos about cars on YouTube, there were a lot of people making fun of me and saying like, wait a minute, YouTube is just for cat videos, right? Isn't it? Like, how can you post videos about cars on that? And even serious content about cars, like authentic long content, and people like, I was starting maybe with 15 minutes or something like that. And even by that, people said like, no one's gonna watch a 15-minute video about one single car, And if you have been following us for that long, you know that the videos got longer and longer. Why? Because we listened to you. So we got the feedback. So like, what do you want to see in the car review? That also began this viewer focus, this viewer first. Because I always thought like, I mean, I'm doing this also in a way for me because I'm interested in cars. I really, care about this topic. But like in the very, very first aspect, I do these videos for you. And that's why I always focused on what is the most important to you. And by that, we actually quickly grew. It only took about a year to get 1 million views per month. And then, approximately the same people that first said, oh, wait a minute, long videos on YouTube, that can never work, and this is like BS what you're doing. Then they said, oh, he's faking the views. Yeah, anyway, and stories like these, of course, always continue. And that's why, again, it is good to surround yourself with people who believe in you and who encourage you to do things, who encourage you also to dare something, to follow your own path, to do your thing, and not listen to the people who always say what you can't do and what you should not do, and so on and so on. I think here, yeah, you get the core message. And sometimes it's really tough, because depending on, where you were born, what's your background, there might be even more people who tell you what you can't do, and I know that, considering for me, born in the position where I was in, I mean, I don't come from a rich family or something like that, but I grew up in a country which was like, very stable. There was no war and everything of that. And maybe some of you come from a different country where you face much, much more difficult challenges. And sometimes you might feel alone when you face challenges where it's like, I can never overcome this. And I just want to say that even though that maybe some other people cannot help you at this moment, there are always people out there which are maybe in similar situations and who also feel with you and can understand your situation and also the personal challenges you might overcome. And the same also counts for me, because like the recent years, on the one hand, they have been really tough on me, but on the other hand, they have also been excellent and joyful. And this is actually also what life is about. It's usually both, and the things I struggled most with is, that I think most can also relate to that, is losing loved ones. And in certain years, in the past years, I actually lost like many members of my family. And it was tough. Yeah, and obviously, as you see, it's even tougher to talk about this. At the same time, it's also very important to talk about this, and also to share my experience, what helped me actually to still also live a very good life, which I certainly do. And for me, these were basically, I would say, two things, and A is like realizing that, like when you face like a tragic situation, like loss of family members, but I mean there can also be many more situations, and I know that some who watch this might be facing like maybe you're also like suffering from war or terror or whatever. And the one thing is that understanding that like all the grief and all the negative things we feel is basically connected to the positive things and to the positive emotions we can feel. And it is connected in a way that either like we are robots and we don't feel anything, and the other possibility is that we feel really strongly, and we can only feel this joy and the positive emotion because we are also able to feel like the grief and the negative emotions, and they both come together. And the choice is either this, you can experience both, and hopefully you experience more of the positive side, And the alternative is that we don't feel at all. And yeah, this was like for me, I think the most important realization, that I choose to feel and I don't choose to feel nothing. I think this is like really, really important. I know, like in very tough situations, like there is this like defense mechanism from the body or from the mind to shut yourself down from emotions, you know. And this is all usually the thing where people then get depression, for example, and cannot really escape this circle. And also something, you know, where you need professional help, which is no shame at all to get. And I think realizing this, that it's always better to feel, you know, and that this negative emotion comes with the positive and vice versa, it's what makes us human, you know. And that's why I think it's also very important to stay always in the mode where you can actually feel. And that also showed to me, because, you know, I needed to get on the path again, also to feel positive again. And this is possible. And this is like the second biggest thing, you know, I experienced, especially in these situations, is to be grateful for what you have, even if you lost something or someone, and really focus like on everyday parts of life which are joyful, you know. And it can be this beautiful background, this Christmas-alike background, which looks fake, but it's actually like a very nice hotel. Or also when I look outside and see the mountains at the moment, this is something to be really grateful for. Just like these small things, or enjoying some great food, and of course enjoying great company, you know, with your family, with your friends, with your partner, and so on and so on. And yeah, even though like experience really tough situations, you experience maybe much more joyful situations. And to me, the same things happened as well. That in times where maybe like I had really huge losses, I also had like huge gains in many different respects. Met new people, met new love, and this really helped, of course, you know, getting in the very positive mood again, and also realizing that these positive things are always stronger than the negative ones, even though sometimes our brain might be wired differently. Because, you know, as a creator, and some other creators can probably also relate, there might be 100 positive comments, but there's one negative comment. And sometimes the negative comment bothers you more, even though the positive comments are so much more. And this is also something completely human, because the brain also wants to protect us, you know, maybe against like, we're living in the wild, and there's maybe like a wild animal approaching us, something like that. And the brain wants to protect us from danger. And therefore these negative warning signs are always like stronger in your head than you have some positive things, you know. And then you just have to understand that it's a natural thing, but then you have to think about, hey, wait a minute, 100 people said that this video is great. And there was like one hater who said like, oh, I don't like that you are into animal welfare, or whatever, you know. So, and this is so much more important to really realize that there are maybe many more positive things, and you should not focus on one negative thing. There's also this famous thing in Germany, of course, that everyone complains about the weather, although maybe the weather in that year was actually pretty decent. But then you just remember, wait a minute, there were these 2 rainy days where I got completely wet, but maybe you experienced 200 days with sun, you know. So yeah, the weather is still bad in Germany, I know, yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and then combining these very two important aspects is that especially when you have lost someone, that you always know that the positive time you spent together was so much more important in comparison to the grief, you know. So this was my personal conclusion, which really helped me, and also keeps up the mood actually every day. I think this is like a very important lesson, and even the lesson itself, you know, that from really tough challenges, from very tough times, these are often the ones that even help you grow as a person even more. So this is once again this aspect that a lot of positive things can also come out of a negative situation. This was the tough part of this video, but maybe also the most important one. Yeah, and so we can also talk again a little bit more about cars, because this year has been super interesting. You know, there are a lot of different trends happening at the same time. We still have like electrification on its way, but it's not moving as fast as many would have expected before. We still present all kinds of powertrains because the needs of everyone is different. Not everyone has the charging infrastructure and so on, but more and more have, and the charging infrastructure is also evolving. And so we also cover, of course, some more full EVs. And I think it's also interesting to see then the solutions in between, mild hybrid, plug-in hybrid, inbuilt hybrid, and so on. And we will keep covering all of the powertrains and also the evolution happening in that segment there. Of course, on the political sense, it's going sometimes back and forth what's happening in that respect. For the manufacturers, it's actually most important that the political things that I decide are like constant, that they can really relate to that, you know. So sometimes it's more important that something is like really strict and constant instead of like changing back and forth no matter which direction they're going, right? And of course, it depends on the individual situation in your country, which powertrain is now more dominant. We had some vehicles that were like leading or very important again. It doesn't happen that often. To name a few, I think we might agree that even though not everyone agrees to the design of the BMW iX3, I think in a technology sense and also for like the German automotive industry, it was a very important car because especially German manufacturers, they have been falling behind in EV tech, and now they again have a car which has like different tech features which are really very strong. In the next year, 2026, we'll also drive the Mercedes GLC EQ and also compare the range figures in that kind of respect, the efficiency and so on. This will be like a very tough battle. But we also gave you news from the Chinese market, for example, this new Audi China brand, where they write the lettering instead of the logo, which is also very interesting. And this also brings me to like another very, very big global topic is that the Chinese car buyers rather buy the Chinese built cars from the domestic market, unless it's super expensive, no matter the cost, German combustion engine cars. They are still very popular, you know, but if you think about our price performance and so on, there's a very hefty price war on the Chinese market, and then more and more of the domestic brands are being bought. And this was a huge problem for everyone else abroad, like because all the other car companies, they've been doing good business in China, you know, and now the profits crumble in that respect, and then they have to cope with other strategies, you know, and maybe concentrate more again on the European and the US market, but also then think about different strategies for the Chinese market, right? And Audi was, for example, one example who did that, and so far that seems to be working quite well. I somehow have the feeling that in the last decades, sometimes there was like a trend to go for, hey, let's make one car for everyone. And now it seems to be that for certain markets, you have to adapt the needs a little bit more. And this is also something I would like you to write in comments as a feedback is, what is a smart car feature? That is always a big discussion in the Chinese market because they say, I want a smart car. And there can be features like, let's say you have the windows lowered, also from a like frameless door. You get out in the parking lot, can get out easily because the window is lower, maybe when they're parking close to another car. And then you leave the vehicle with the key in your pocket or with the smartphone in your pocket. And then the car closes itself and also puts the windows up again. You know, features like these, like sometimes very simple things, but they still help you in everyday car driving life. And yeah, I would like to really like open discussion also about like what are cool, useful, smart car features. And of course, talking about your wishes, I would like to get some feedback on what shall we focus on next year? Which cars are you looking forward to? Which comparison episodes you want to see maybe? Maybe also like a meta topic, so a different certain topic from the car industry you want to know more about, that you can maybe do a special or maybe even a documentary video, as we once did with sustainability in the car industry, and do a meta video on that one. So also looking for your feedback as for that. And once again, thank you so much for listening, for staying with us, for being subscribed, having the notification bell activated. And as I said, since we're not a big corporation, we don't have the big money, we always rely on the personal recommendations that you say, maybe other family members or friends, that, hey, this is a cool channel. If you're interested in cars, you should watch this channel. This is actually what is most important to us and how you can also support us. And yeah, we also have meanwhile our member section here on YouTube, where we also try to deliver even a little bit more. And although we had to close our official merchandise shop because it was just too expensive to run it, we still have merchandise available, of course, like caps and cool t-shirts. You know, I also wear them in our videos frequently. So if you're interested in merchandise, we can also like give you very decent prices there. Just give me a note in the comments, maybe say like merchandise or merch or something like that. Or write me like a personal message, like in the info page. There's also an email address, or maybe some other social medias where we have the personal messages. So just tell me what you want to have, what you fancy, and of course you can also get some of these. So thanks again. I hope you enjoyed this somewhat different video this time, very emotional video, but of course we also want to deliver you even more great content next year. So stay tuned. Thanks so much again, and best greetings also from Leah, by the way. Yeah.